Hello everybody, it's Starrapter here, and I'm so happy you could join me for another episode of This Week in Star Wars Canon. Every week I love to talk to you guys about everything new in Star Wars continuity. This could be anything such as the TV series, the novels, the video games, and to the comic books. And this week we had the return of Star Wars Rebels for its fourth and final season. So we have a two-part episode called Heroes of Mandalore Part 1 and Part 2. So this year I'm doing something a little bit different. Normally I would include my Rebels reviews on this show, but since they're doing like the 2-episode releases, I thought I needed to give them their own time to shine. So right now I actually have my review for Heroes of Mandalore episode 1 and episode 2, so make sure you check that out on the channel right now. It's basically about Sabine going back to Mandalore and trying to save her father and finding about a deadly weapon and trying to shut that down. So check out my thoughts on that video that's linked right up there. So moving on to the comics, first thing I want to talk about is we have Captain Phasma number 4. This is the fourth and final issue of that miniseries, which is going to lead us right into The Last Jedi. So what happens in this final issue is that Phasma gets through an army of these aliens to get to this Lieutenant Revis, and he is a character that is the only person in the First Order that knows that Phasma shut down the shields. He was able to access the databanks and got that information and tried to get out of there, and he's been running from Phasma ever since. So Phasma is just on a killing spree in this episode, to put it lightly. She goes and she kills everybody that has had ties to her, and she returns to General Hux, who thinks that she's been dead. And he's very surprised, and she basically says, I'm loyal to the First Order, but we all kind of know she's not really, especially if you read the Phasma novel. So going into my specifics of things I enjoyed particularly about this issue, and first of all, I just love seeing the brutality of Phasma. Again, she is portrayed this way in Phasma, and she's portrayed the same, in Captain Phasma, the comic series here. So we see that good transition between the story group. What's going on here is the same. That's kind of what's going on in Phasma. She pits this entire force of people that are inhabitants of this planet and basically has them sacrifice themselves going up against these aliens, while she and her pilot go and try to get this this informant to kill him. And she basically kills the pilot and the little BB droid as well. She just doesn't leave any stone unturned. She's just absolutely cruel, absolutely vicious, has no emotion. So yes, we do know a little bit about her character going into The Last Jedi if you read Phasma and this, which is pretty neat. I did like see her meeting with Hux, and you see the ships there in the background with the debris of Starkiller Base. So that was really cool. So overall thoughts about the miniseries of Captain Phasma. Overall, I was pretty disappointed, to be honest with you guys. I thought this was going to be a lot grander scope. I thought we were going to get more of the inner workings of the First Order with like Kylo Ren and General Hux. But, I let my expectations get a little bit too high for this one. But, this and Phasma, I think they're great counterparts. If you've read Phasma, I would definitely recommend checking out this comic book. I think the trade is going to be out before the movie. If you guys don't get the single issues, wait for that one. Next up for this week, we have Poe Dameron number 20. This begins the arc called Legend Lost, and this takes us back to what this comic series was first founded on, which was all about Poe trying to track down Lor San Tekka, who holds the information for where Luke Skywalker is, as we learned in The Force Awakens. So this opens up with Lor San Tekka in action. We haven't seen this guy in action. He's in Canon Nemoria from the prequels, and he's trying to find this powerful relic which balances between the light and the dark. He finds it, but then he gets arrested. We later find out, going back to Dakar, the Resistance base, that C-3PO, using his data and stuff that he got from the Hutt, Gracchus, that he tracks him down to Canon Nemoria. So now we are seeing the Resistance kind of prepare to go out on this mission. So I really enjoyed this issue because it seems like we're going to get resolution on what happens with Lor San Tekka. Maybe this will be the last arc of Poe Dameron. I don't know. But getting into my specifics, first off, like I mentioned, Canon Nemoria. So it's really cool because we have in the beginning these people going on the tour. So it kind of gives us a bunch of exposition of what happened to Canon Nemoria after the fall of basically the Trade Federation, because we know Dad gets killed by Anakin. So it's really cool whenever we get these kind of elements where we have the prequels getting tied all the way 50 years later into the sequel trilogy. It's just really awesome Great job by Charles Soule, kind of linking everything together. And then I also really enjoyed seeing, Lor San Tekka in action. This guy's kind of like Indiana Jones. He has these droids and they're trying to help him get through the door. He has this really cool cloak that helps him get through this like laser grid. And he's got this sweet mask, and then he finds this object, and I want to know more about this object, guys, because it's supposedly something about the dark side and the light side. We know that Lor San Tekka is part of the Church of the Force, which is very interested in everything Jedi, so really cool. It feels like we're finally getting some meaty substance here for lore out of the Poe Dameron series. I also liked seeing, going back to the Resistance part, how a lot of these characters are struggling now. They've been through a lot of trials. A lot of their own crewmates have been getting killed. So we have people like Kari and Snap who have had a relationship, and now that relationship is getting strained because, they want to focus on, Carrie wants to focus on the Resistance and doesn't want to be entangled with romantic interest because she might lose her focus on their main mission. So it's almost like kind of like the Jedi, how they're not supposed to have people. That's what they kind of compare it to. Significant others will lose their focus. I also really enjoyed seeing Leia talking to Admiral Satora about the Resistance role and about how it's so hard for the Resistance to, keep going on. It's hard for them because they're fighting an invisible foe compared to everybody else out in the galaxy that doesn't want to give them support because they're just trying to preemptively strike at this before it becomes a problem. And it's just, the Resistance is so tiny, and like one little thing goes wrong, it can wipe out the entire Resistance. So you really feel the value of that. So that is what I thought of this latest issue of Poe Dameron. I don't know if this is going to be the last arc of Poe Dameron, but it seems like things are finally coming to a head. We might actually see this bridge into The Force Awakens, and I hope it finally does someday soon. And finally, for this week, we have Star Wars Adventures number 3. And I thought this was coming out last week, but apparently it didn't. So this one is all about, first off, there's always 2 stories. And this is more of the kid kind of comic coming out, but it's still pretty entertaining. The first one is about Finn before he defects from the First Order. And it shows him trying to deal with this creature that came from planetside, and it's causing havoc all over the Resurgent class Star Destroyer, the Finalizer. And, he's trying to chase this thing around, and it turns out that he basically goes down to planetside. Phasma wants him to execute it, and he's still, like, shaking his hands, kind of just like it was in The Force Awakens. So we get a little bit of the character, kind of like why he would do something in The Force Awakens, because he doesn't really like to kill much of anything. The next story we had revolved around K2SO, Cassian, and a bunch of Wookiee younglings. So that was kind of fun, because we just see K2SO is a stern droid that wants to just get stuff done, and basically Cassian makes him babysit these Wookiees, because Cassian goes off onto this operation, and K2 is just kind of stranded there to occupy these Wookiees until he gets back. So it was a very bizarre issue, but it was pretty entertaining. So talking about certain things I liked about this issue. First off, going back to the Finn issue, it was fun seeing that Finn was doing some sanitation type of work, scrubbing off the dropsips, and that's when the little alien comes out. I also liked seeing a little bit of Kylo Ren in that issue, and it was like right before they go to Jakku, because Kylo's basically telling Hux, like, look, there's something on this planet. He doesn't say it's Jakku, but you can kind of get the feeling that, yeah, they're trying to go on their way there. Another thing was interesting was, like, I said, Finn struggling with his identity. If he's really going to be able to kill something as innocent as a little creature, how is he going to be able to, pull the trigger on some actual human beings? So it's a little bit of good character development from here, along with Before the Awakening, which is a great novel. Moving over into the K2SO story, it was pretty bogus. There wasn't much to enjoy other than the visuals were great. And I did enjoy that Alan Tudyk, actually the voice of K2SO in Rogue One, actually wrote this story. So the dialogue from K2SO is obviously spot on. And it was nice seeing an Ithorian rebel pilot that came back to assist Cassian. I love Ithorians. Could we please get more of those little rebel pilots in there? That'd be awesome. So that was what I thought of Star Wars Adventures number 3. For next week, you guys can look forward to, we are getting Jedi of the Republic, Mace Windu number 3, as well as we're going to have another Rebels episode, so I'll briefly talk about that. But now it's time for me to talk to you guys in the comment section below. Let me know, what was your favorite thing that came out this week? Are you looking forward to seeing the conclusion of Phasma? How are you feeling about the Poe Dameron series? What did you think of Rebels? We could talk about that in this video as well. leave a comment in that comment section below. Also, I have plenty of other content on my channel. I just put up my video, something happened with EA. So EA actually cut the cord on its studio, Visceral Games, which was responsible for the next Star Wars video game. They have pretty much like transferred whatever this game was to other studios, and they've completely revamped the design. It's not going to be a single player game, it looks like, anymore. It looks like they're going to kind of change it into a more Destiny game, so it's more lucrative for EA. So I have a whole video just on that specifically, so make sure you check that out. And if you aren't already subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so you don't miss another video. I have constant uploads on this channel about Star Wars, about gaming, about lots of things, so make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on any of it. I'm Starrapter. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.